Okay, testing audio.
I hear you.
Okay, testing again.
I still hear you.
Okay, good. Now let me check my video. Good, it's on the right camera. The picture coming through okay?
Well, except for that you didn't comb your hair, but that's okay.
I never do. And let's see, the microphone. Yes, that's the right one. Actually, let me see if I could change the mic.
You muted yourself.
Testing. No, I don't think I did.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong. You were muted on one. Hi, Heiner.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I need 3 minutes. I need to go to the restroom. I didn't do that before I woke up. So give me a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Nice. I just come from the restroom.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that little delay there. I am going to start this off with, is there any other possible topic other than what the actual fuck?
Uh-oh. We in trouble now. We're going to the dogs. We're going to the cats. We're going to the pets.
What else could we talk about today, Barry? I mean, if it's not on your mind, then I wonder what state of mind you actually live in.
Despair and despondency.
Did it get worse after Wednesday?
Well, it just solidified the worry into realized concern instead of potential worry.
Yeah, Heiner and everybody else outside this country must be laughing at the US just as they have the last 8 or 12 years.
Well, except for a couple of autocrats and here and there.
The amount of stupidity is staggering. So I don't know what else to talk about other than that today. Anyway, did you come with any topics?
Not really, no.
And Heiner, what's on your mind?
Well, the last session, in the last minute, I mentioned stepping back on all this election maze and what's happening here in Germany. with no government or a minority government, or in Europe, that I say our civilizations, not just the US, but also us in Europe, where we face much deeper problems also with our borders, because we have a much longer border than you with Mexico. I mean, all the different states and all the different islands, it's really very big problems that I said when we go back to the roots of the issues, then I say it's very, how do you say, confrontative that I see us in Europe, but also especially the US society as a society of convenience. And convenience came with our modern economic system and came with the Enlightenment. And this age of convenience, as I would like to call it, is a root problem, because the marketing and communication people have taken on convenience as something, oh, the best thing you do in marketing, and you do the best USP, the best product to fulfill the needs of the client. But convenience is not to be understood without the ends. For whom is it convenient? And how others are suffering from this convenience because their needs are not included. So it's about this me, we, you, they, and others, or worms eye, fish eye, bird's eye, groups eye, generational eye. I always mention with you since 5 or 10 years, is not included. And so I'm totally desperate, and I'm at all what's happening in politics in Europe and in the US. And for me, I was so grunting, so angry, saying this, that we should go to the blind spots and the root causes, because I was in the campaign for McGovern with a girlfriend of mine 50 years ago in, I think it was Massachusetts, that I really felt what kind of strange election system you have, and what can we do to go really to include the others and not exclude and fight. So I have much on diplomatic wars, on war and peace. No, anyway, I didn't want to talk so much. I was just wanting to give you my gratitude that you're still struggling and cracking on with this group, which I found amazing, or I find amazing.
There was one part I didn't understand, Heiner. I understood most of what you said, but you started by talking about border problems. How did border problems lead to the rest of your monologue? You're on mute, by the way, Heiner. Heiner, are you still muted? Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
it's outside, and I now have the loudspeaker a little bit closer, and I now can get your question again.
I was saying I understood most of your monologue, but I recall that you started by mentioning border problems. So I didn't understand how border problems led to the rest of what you said.
Well, I was getting lost maybe, but I think one of the central issues in our discussions in Europe and you with Mexico is that you feel that there are some aliens coming in and they should be thrown out. We have it much more in our war-torn environments inside Europe and outside of Europe, that the countries at the outer rim of Europe are much more fundamentalistic and fighting against the aliens than the countries inside, which don't have borders to the others, to the aliens, to the south or to the east, to the west and north. There is no problem with borders at the moment. So in politics, if you go with discussing with European and politicians and arts and culture people the last 2 days, they are really confronted with a mindset of people who would love to go back to the old ages of isolation. So Italy, Spain, Turkey, Greece have so much intense problems with the borders, with aliens, with not just caravans of people coming from other countries or coming from Africa or coming from Asia, that what the US is confronting is very, very much small in comparison on what's going here on in European discussions on the lower or on the not talked about or even unconscious levels of the political debate. Excuse me, I was rambling on. Maybe I'm not in the right mood to speak.
You're muted, Sam. I see your lips moving, but I don't hear anything. You're not muted. I just don't hear you.
He lost his voice.
Testing.
It's something came out just now.
Testing.
Yeah, I hear you.
Can hear him now.
Okay. All right, Heiner, thanks for explaining that. I didn't realize that border issues were such a big deal in Europe, especially in Italy and some of the countries that you mentioned. I just think that even if it is an issue, I can't imagine it being at such a stupid level of discourse as it is here in the United States. I just can't imagine it. I doubt that it's quite as dumb as it is here. Anyway, hey Kayla, I just mentioned at the beginning, like, I didn't come with any other topic other than what the actual fuck. That's how I just started. I didn't know there was any other topic to talk about. People may be tired of it, but we got to spend at least a little bit of time and acknowledge what happened this past week, I think.
Oh yeah. I logged on for the same thing just to check on you guys mostly. But yeah. So I'm so sorry that I came late. Heiner, did you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I think I talked before you joined, and I don't want to repeat.
You can bring up the what is it, the AI compendium, whatever you call it.
So what do you think from your perspective? Is it a bad thing or you guys don't care? What's going on?
We are Europe in the same mess, and our problems with the East and the war, not only in Ukraine or in Israel or around Georgia and Turkey, all close to Greece, which I didn't mention a moment ago, are all an indicator of the same civilizational crisis. And what I said in the beginning was we should reflect our mindset, how we easily say convenience and don't reflect on the situation, and what is externalized, like the economy people externalize all the problems which are a little bit difficult or tricky.
Okay, thank you for that. And thanks for that, Sam. I just saw it on the chat.
That's AI companion there.
Okay, I apologize for not being up to date um with my technology.
I do the same myself. Zoom's not necessarily the most user-friendly UI either.
Well, we've shortly after the elections, the Camarillo area here in Ventura County caught on fire. So thankfully, I didn't have much time to reflect on that, so I didn't get too sad until I came back to it in my head. So I was too busy trying to get my kid out of Somas because the fire was very close to where his school is.
Yeah, and you said you had to walk, what, over a mile to get to them because of all the traffic?
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't allow any vehicles in some of, close to the fire. So some of us parents had to park our cars outside of the city of Somas and then walk into there. So it was quite apocalyptic. I mean, walking the farm fields, seeing the fire in the distance, feeling the wind. I had my two dogs. But Max has been out of school since Thursday because the air quality was bad, but it's fine now.
Well, if I'm going to share some reflections on the election, if you hear the early reports of mail-in voting and that the high ratios of women outnumbering men, 55 to 45, and then the final numbers where the final turnout was lower than the previous election, something there just doesn't correlate for me. I thought for sure that we would see a higher voter turnout. I thought for sure that more women would express their opinions. I thought for sure that, the younger generation would come out. But the story that's being told to me, I think shoved down my throat, it feels, is that young men came out for Trump. I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that women came out so strongly and still voted for Trump. So I have to entertain that the election was rigged. I'm going to say it right here. Okay. There's plenty of people with a lot of money and a lot of power and a lot of access who were trying to help Trump get into power. And so the final numbers with the early activities and voter turnout, they don't jive for me. Over.
Well, a lot of people aren't surprised. That's the feedback that I've been getting. A lot of people aren't surprised, and I'm actually not surprised that some of the younger men are voting for Trump because they're pretty prolific, especially in the Southeast. And then the most of the red states, they're pretty prolific there. And it's really difficult for, I think I've said it here before, it's difficult for men to give up that entitlement. So, it's especially if men have gotten pushback in the past like decade. And this is an opportunity for them to, push back against it, against the movement.
Is it really though? They don't even know what they voted for. They're voting for a dictatorship. They're voting for losing rights. They're voting for losing the Department of Education. They're going to vote for worse health care. They're voting for a worse climate. They're voting for no infrastructure investment. and they're voting thinking that Trump controls product prices. They're voting for a bunch of stupid assumptions like this. And I just can't believe the level of stupidity and dumbness and ignorance and short-sightedness over it.
Well, that's obvious to us. Not so obvious to the people who voted for them. I mean, the good part about it is I've seen a lot of people and heard from a lot of people who actually did not vote for Trump. And it's really nice to see that there was a large, well, for me in particular, on a personal level, I'm glad that I associate with people who are mildly intelligent and, have these sort of values. So going forward, this is how I felt. My son was very afraid. He said we should leave the United States. This is, my 13-year-old Maxwell. And I'm very, I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing to be very blunt with him about politics. I felt like generally it's a good thing because this is his lifetime. This is his country. This is his life. And I think it's my duty to educate him as best as possible on how he can make a difference to his future. And so I had to pick up my big girl pants and just kind of plod forward and tell him it's okay in some level and respect and just kind of say we're just going to take it day by day and see how we can, um, you know, live with this and turn it around. And the first thing to do is just kind of unite with the people who are intelligent and who voted against this and who want to see a big change and start from there.
So I agree with that, but I think it's going to be insufficient. Insufficient because the system has already been mangled so far, with Citizens United allowing money to control almost every election, with the Supreme Court already corrupt and blatantly so, and bought. They're in the pockets of billionaires and the ultra right. So things can only go so far before they're stymied by either money or the corrupt Supreme Court.
Well, we're just
So
going to
that's
have to
why,
suffer the con.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You weren't done.
So I don't see any of that changing in the rest of my lifetime. The court is going to have to die off, but the Democrats, they themselves are corrupt. I'm not letting them off the hook either. If we had gotten Bernie 8 years ago, we wouldn't be through all of this. And the DNC is at fault for that. So anyway, I think there are only a small number of scenarios out of this. And the one that I'm going to start talking up very, very loudly, and I'm going to actually even write to these principles, is for Joe Biden to use his presidential immunity and for him to actually eliminate the threat to the Constitution that is the incoming administration, because they're already on record as basically dismantling the US Constitution. And if Biden, as president, has sworn an oath to defend the Constitution, and these people are obviously going to dismantle the Constitution as a presidential responsibility, protecting the Constitution from from enemies, foreign and domestic. These are those domestic enemies that he needs to protect the Constitution from. So he needs to commit a presidential act, do whatever is necessary to eliminate this possibility, and he will get complete immunity because he will be doing it as the sitting president. We only have 2 months to do this. But that to me is the cleanest way out of this. Unfortunately, I don't see that actually happening, but it is the cleanest, most legal, and most swift way to get rid of this problem. Over.
You can't get rid of authoritarianism by adopting authoritarian practices and setting a precedent for them. That would create a precedent that the president is an authoritarian dictator and can dictate and overthrow the will of the people.
Now, there have been many times where you actually use military might and force to install a different system, and this is one of those times. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't necessarily follow that just because he takes an autocratic action, that he can't therefore say, "Okay, I resign. I overreach my powers. You know, let me be punished or let me be pardoned, whatever, whatever." But then he can be gone. Okay, he's going to be gone anyway, and then we can have either Harris or somebody else or AOC or whatever that come in as a new administration without being saddled with the guilt of having extended their powers so far. Anyway, those are nuances to this, but that to me is a weighted consideration of lesser evils. Okay, right now the greater evil is that the Constitution will be dismantled if Trump and his minions take office on January 20th or whatever that date is. Okay, and that he has to be stopped. But I don't see that the Dems or Biden will have the backbone to do this. But it's clearly the only way to save this country and do it in a way that has already been established as permitted by the Supreme Court. Over.
Remember the strange remark in Vietnam, the only way to save it is to destroy it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to interject. That, unfortunately, if it's going to go that way, people are going to have to suffer the consequences of their choices. As long as you're responsible and accountable for the consequences of your choices, and you see it through, unfortunately, if that happens, it's gonna, it's not going to be a good thing. But if it goes that way, then, that's hopefully our ancestors or our younger people will remember that.
Sam and I have independently lost faith in systems or different systems. Sam lost faith in theology, and I lost faith in governance models.
So I put in the chat that supposedly the state of California is beginning measures to protect our rights, and then also certain educational institutions. I know I received an email from Long Beach Unified stating that they, in light of the federal government changes, they're still going to proceed forward with their plans. And I see this as a really good opportunity. As the beginnings of, a third party. If smaller institutions, if states, if, institutions that have their own set of power and rights come together, perhaps that's the beginning of trying to have a third party and seeing that through.
May I add a small detail here?
Sure.
According to another report I saw, only 2 states in this election saw the trifecta for Democrats: the governorship, the Senate, and the state legislature. Okay, there's only 2 states that hit that trifecta. Do you know which 2 states those are, according to what I read?
Nope.
For which party?
For the Democrats. The 2 states are Maine and Washington. Those are the only 2. Okay, so Washington, I saw Governor Inslee here in Washington do exactly the same thing that Newsom was doing in California. He said, "We're gearing up to fight, any encroachment." Those are not his words; those are my words. Any encroachment by the federal government onto states' rights, onto justice. So he and the recently elected new administration, he's already had 3 terms. He's not going to be a 4th term governor. But the Democrats did hold the governorship. and the Democrats are gearing up to fight the federal government. So at least in Washington, we have the same thinking here that Newsom was talking about in California, to protect the people from the erosion of rights. However, I still think there are systematic issues like funding from Department of Education, or what happens with Department of the Interior, or what happens with, a NOAA. They're going to get rid of NOAA, you know that, right? Because NOAA is a big proponent of gathering data for climate change. So they're going to dismantle NOAA. So a lot of these departments, a lot of these cabinet positions, oh God, don't even talk about how Musk is going to get a cabinet position. Don't even talk about how Herschel Walker is like, floated as he's going to control the red button for all these nuclear missiles. God, what stupidity. But anyway, there are certain issues that are beyond what the states can do, like, control of the nuclear arsenal. But for what the states can do, Washington, I believe California, probably Maine, are gearing up for those fights. And they'll be intense, and those are not guaranteed to win. So anyway, I'm echoing what you said about California. I'm mentioning Washington and Maine. And so the attendant idea there, I don't know if you guys heard this idea called Cascadia. Cascadia would be a wonderful time to come into existence right now. This is, if you don't know about it, this is where California, Oregon, and Washington, and Canada, maybe a couple other states, join as a new international entity. I know that's not going to be easy for the US to give up, but that would be a very momentous evolution. And I'll fight for that also, even though it's got small chance of success. But we got to talk it up. Over.
You know, I've noticed not as many Republicans or people who probably voted for him have not been speaking up as much. And some of part of me feels like they probably knew they made a really stupid decision.
I would like to think that. I don't think they're smart enough to know that they made a stupid decision. And I know that's a generalization, but I do think there are too many stupid people in that voting bloc.
And I think they know they made a stupid decision. I think that's why they're not saying anything.
And how can you watch what this guy did over the last several weeks and months, making mockery out of the language, ethics, the law, interpersonal courtesy, and still vote for the guy? The level of misogyny and racism is deep. It's deep. I didn't realize how deep it was, but it's fucking deep.
Well, it's kind of like what Heiner was saying is just the mindset. You know, there's still that crazy mindset. Here's what I got from it. I got that the United States hates women and people of color. That's what I got of it. That's
Yep.
what I tell my kids.
Yes.
US hates women and people of color. And they are not ready to, give women rights and to accept people of color. That's just it. Not ready to evolve, and they just can't get their minds around the whole idea of evolution. People just want to stay where they're comfortable, and the people who've been entitled, they, don't see change benefiting them.
Yeah. So does anybody recall what happened to Germany when they made that decision?
They went fascist. And America is going fascist, which is
And they
corporatism.
started rounding people up and putting them on rail cars and sending them to where.
Mhm. That's what Trump wants to do, is round them up and send them away.
Yep.
My ancestors
Great
got the
grandpa.
hell out of Eastern Europe before they were sent away.
That's actually what I'm trying to figure out is how to get the hell away from here if it comes down to that.
Well, you got Costa Rica and New Zealand is maybe choices number one and two, and maybe Canada's choice number three.
Dang it. See, I had a boyfriend in Costa Rica.
Do I have his number?
I do. I still have my Costa Rican family there. I think they would be very accommodating. But, it's a scary thought. I
If you
have my
go,
brain hasn't gone there yet. It's only going to prepare. I still have to get the kids' passports renewed and I have to take boxing classes. That's what I said. If Trump wins, I'm taking boxing classes.
I saw a meme come out. Somebody actually put together a list of the 20 or so countries that are allowing US to apply for political asylum, US citizens.
Probably not Venezuela.
I wouldn't want to go to Venezuela. That's where
Probably not Panama either, and not Guatemala.
but yeah, I mean that is a consideration. I am 99% sure I'm going to research leaving the country in depth. And I'm probably about 75% sure I'm actually going to do it. This country is a shithole country right now. Sorry to say that, but I've been foul-mouthed today, and I apologize for it. For once, I'm going to agree with Hillary. She was correct when she used the word deplorables.
Yeah, we're a basket case.
And nothing else seemed to matter other than the misogyny and the white supremacy. Nothing else mattered. That's what this vote is telling Kayla and me. That's what I heard from you. Morals, ethics, the law, guidance, courtesy, compassion, empathy, none of that matters to the largest voting bloc of idiots.
Well, they
Well,
don't call us Homo schleppians for nothing.
they're going to get the country they voted for, and they're going to lose rights. And this will not be a very satisfying "I told you so," and I probably won't even be around to say that.
Right? I don't even want to say I told you so when that happens. I don't think we'll need to.
History will have that big "I told you so" if if there are people around to write the history decades from now.
Well, the AIs can write it for us.
There's the solace that I was looking for. I just got that one little quantum of solace.
I mean, you might ask the AIs, okay, so theocracy didn't work, aristocracy didn't work, fascism didn't work, democracy didn't work, Republican state didn't work. AI, what governance model could work? Ask them. You know what they're going to tell you? What system created AI? Technocracy. Here we are on Zoom in a technocratic system. The technocratic systems are high functioning. They're protocol based, they're function based. And the AIs are adopting that protocol, that paradigm. And Homo schleppians aren't.
You think he's going to allow DARPA to continue to exist, continue to do research? Or do you think that he's going to let NIH or NIST, NIST, or any of those, what is that, Office of Scientific and Technical Research, OSTR? Any of these organs, you think they're going to exist?
I don't know.
Or even if they do, they're going to be run by his minions, his stupid minions who understand nothing of the issues.
Well, I mean, it's been known on paper that our governance models are dysfunctional, erratic, chaotic. Now you have the real evidence to back up the theory. You ran the experiment, you ran the great experiment, and you got the outcome that theory predicted. Socrates predicted this, what, 2,000 years ago or whenever he lived?
You can see it, you know. Democracy means the, large mass of stupid people get their stupid decisions implemented.
It was a democratic vote of the citizens of Athens that condemned Socrates to death. So there you have it.
The problem is, this is not just a US problem. US being unstable means that no other countries, especially NATO allies, can trust the US.
I don't trust the US.
We're not trustworthy at all.
Yeah, some people don't even trust themselves.
Well, that's sort of the whole point of science is you ask for peer review because you don't trust your own work. As Feynman said, you're the easiest person to fool. Don't fool yourself.
That's a central tenet of the COI as well.
But you still have to do the work, you know?
You do the work, but you don't automatically believe that your work is accurate until it's validated independently by peer review. And, we don't really have peer review in governance models.
Well, is there only in the form of checks and balances and
the January 6th committee tried peer review and, Liz Cheney got ousted, and they basically the system threw away the findings of the January 6th committee and threw away the participants.
Yeah.
So much for peer review in government.
And then this whole Jack Smith and 3 weeks and what to do about, closing up shop on these things. Just because there's legal precedent doesn't mean you have to follow it. It's not law. The law should still proceed. Trump still needs to be sentenced to jail and prison. We should still fight that.
Let's see what they do in New York State, where it's not the government.
That's right. It's a state issue.
Yeah, but Jack Smith doesn't have a mandate anymore. I mean, the Supreme Court said you can't prosecute a sitting president. Now, he may still
He's not sitting yet. He's not there until January 20th. We've still plenty of time.
Yeah, right. He's not going to have a date on the calendar after January 20th.
And by the way, Merrick Garland has been a piece of shit. He's been a waste of taxpayer money.
Well, if he'd been on the Supreme Court, where he belonged, the system basically screwed itself.
He doesn't have the spine to stand up to those corrupt right. Just look at what he's done as AG. Almost nothing. All he did was appoint Jack Smith.
Look, the experiment failed. In science, experiments fail all the time. It was the wrong philosophy, the wrong model. The theoretical model was incorrect. But that's not new information. We've known that for decades, maybe millennia.
Well, even the model that was there wasn't actually put in place. There were other factors that even prevented what was there from actually, running its course.
I mean, Britain went through the same thing with the Magna Carta. They tried to fix it with the Magna Carta, and then they basically didn't follow through. It just was a piece of paper. We had
How long
civil
were the
rights in
Dark
this
Ages?
country in the 60s and 70s, and we still don't have civil rights.
How long was the Dark Ages, Barry? About 400 years?
Something like that.
Yeah, we're about to head into another Dark Ages.
Yeah. Yeah. And that may happen for all intelligent civilizations, which is why we're the last of the Mohicans here. As far as we know, there aren't any. After we're gone, there won't be any left except for the machines.
Like I said, I'm less afraid of smart bots and AI. I am deathly afraid of stupid humans and just how many there are. Einstein was right. There's no limit to human stupidity.
More Schleppians.
Okay, well, I think I'm dragging the morale of this call down. I better shut up.
I don't know. I've been despondent since Tuesday evening, so even before that.
One other small hope. If the leaders in the military remembered that they swore an oath to protect the Constitution,
Mm.
it is plain as the orange on the fuckhead's face that he is a threat to the Constitution. That's one other scenario, is that the military refused to put in place what you know Trump is going to put in place before he implements his loyalty demand on everybody in government. Forget what that's called, Chapter 7 or whatever it's called. Just like he tried to make Comey sign a letter of loyalty to him, swear his loyalty.
He'll get a team of lackeys who are incompetent, and then the system will collapse. Civilizations have collapsed, ever since the dawn of civilization. Civilizations have collapsed. You look at all civilizations that collapsed, and ours will too.
Well, the probability just took a huge jump this past week.
Yeah, well, it came closer to being realized instead of being hypothetical. It's much less hypothetical now.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know,
mean,
maybe our system should collapse.
it needs to collapse because it's dysfunctional.
That's right.
Exactly.
Our system is mathematically unsound, unsustainable, dysfunctional, and it has to be superseded by something that is functional. We have demonstrations of successful systems, but they're not run by humans. They're run by machines. The internet runs itself pretty much, protocol based, function based. Doesn't have internecine wars.
What are all these churchgoers doing, praising a guy who's convicted of rape, convicted of fraud, highly suspected and indicted of treason, and yet he is their leader, quote unquote. I have so much disgust now for Christians who don't speak out against him. That disgust is palpable.
Most Christians don't understand Christianity.
I had an interchange with someone who actually is, I believe, one of the small handful of good Christians that I know who actually believe according and behave according to those Christian values that you hear about. And this person said she didn't understand why more Christians didn't come out against all of this hypocrisy. And I said, come on, is it any surprise that in a doctrine where you're supposed to believe only one source, not question that source, not try and validate it with other sources, why is it a surprise that that mindset, that form of thinking would produce what you just saw? Okay. If you believe in this guy, I don't care who you actually name, whether it's a Fox or whether it's Trump. You know, and if you're in that mindset where you only believe one source of truth, this is the scenario. This is why Barry, you and I and others have been talking about critical thinking, multiple sources, looking at the veracity of the claim, looking at the supporting data, looking at the contradicting data. You got to do that when you're actually able to hold multiple thoughts in your head other than, oh, this is the one I got to believe. It's not a surprise that people who are brought and indoctrinated into the world to think only simple things from simple sources will produce, idiotic outcomes like this. That's not a surprise to me. And that, by the way, was a perspective she'd not actually heard from anyone else. I was the first person to express that to her.
Critical thinking is hard. I'm supposedly better than the average person at critical thinking, and I suck at it.
So remember weeks ago, I proposed, hey, let's set up one of these GCC sessions on women's issues and women's rights. I think that'll ever happen now. I'm still supporting it, but looks like many men are not up for that, and who knows if women have even given up on that.
No, we haven't given up.
Good. I'm glad. So I'll still support that, Gayla.
I'm like one of the few people that wake up really early in the morning and can handle, conversations like this. So I have a friend who can handle conversations like this, but she is not a morning person. So I have another friend who can handle conversations like this. She might be interesting to bring her on, but then we might not be friends for a while if I put her on because she's got anger issues. Um, who else can I think of?
We don't have to do it at this time, by the way.
No, it's just um I always try to think why. Why aren't women more interested in, having this kind of conversation? And I think it's because number one, we're tired of it. And number two, we're so busy trying to take care of our own lives because, regardless of the fact that men have a lot of rights and power, it's women who do most of the work on a daily basis. So we're stuck with our responsibilities that we cannot let go because most of it has to do with, children and keeping the families together and making our daily lives run smooth. So therein lies the problem, right?
Yeah. And you can't even put the Lysistrata story in place because of the domestic violence that would ensue.
Maxwell says hi.
Hi, Maxwell. Hey,
He said,
Maxwell, it's up to your generation to fix this mess that your parents and grandparents made.
What do you think about Trump?
No, I don't want to say it.
Why? They probably agree with you. He doesn't want to speak, but he hates Trump.
Go ahead and say it,
Right?
Max.
Well, he's despicable.
I'll say it for you.
Despicable.
I think he's despicable. I think he's the worst human being that we could ever waste our time and attention on. The guy is a waste of protoplasm. He is basically a symbol for everything that the church taught us to not do, and yet churchgoers seem to be voting for him. This guy is an embarrassment, and he's a symbol of the amount of stupidity that still is running rampant in this country.
He's a poster child for the dark tetrad. Maxwell, I bet they haven't taught you about the dark tetrad in school yet, and they probably never will. You're going to have to look it up on your own. Trump is a poster child for the dark tetrad.
Ooh, dark Tetran. He'll look that up
His own
on TikTok.
Tetrad, T-E-T-R-A-D.
Tetrad. Ooh.
Tetrad. 4 traits that define, in scientific and objective manner, 4 traits that define a despicable character. If you think of a storybook character who's maximally despicable, most evil character you could find in a storybook, they have to have all the 4 traits of the dark tetrad, and Trump has them.
Who's the most evil character you can think of? Bryston? Sorry, I'm having fun with my son.
Well, I mean, the Disney stories are full of evil characters. Almost every Disney story, has an evil character of some sort, and they exemplify the dark tetrad. Machiavellianism and narcissism, sociopathy, and sadism. That's it. Those are the 4 traits.
Maxwell, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you play video games?
Yeah.
The US has shown that we're not going to level up.
We're going to lose to the bad guys. The bad guys are going to win in the video games. Again,
He's smiling and shaking his head.
the evil monsters are gonna defeat us.
Speaking of evil and video games, I've heard there's some disgusting chat rooms or disgusting plays on Roblox. I think one is called the P. Diddy room or something, or the P. Diddy party. I'm like, ooh.
That was in the news, the P. Diddy parties. They were bad news.
On Roblox, like on a kid's game?
No, I mean real life. The real P. Diddy in real life had these games.
Oh, yeah. I still watch about that. It's disgusting.
It's despicable.
So
Yeah.
what's happening in these P. Diddy games, Roblox rooms?
Oh, I'm sure they're doing nasty, awful things, but I from time to time I monitor my son's stuff, and I've got a mom friend who well, she was a stay-at-home mom. Now she's kind of working, but she used to go into these chat rooms just to see what they're about, and then warn people, and then whistle blow and get these kids in trouble and tell all of her friends. It was awesome, but it was eye-opening what our kids can get into. So there's evil all around us.
Yeah. That's been a theme of human stories since the dawn of human story writing and making and telling. There's always, the most popular stories have an evil character in them. Is the antagonist.
I'm equally afraid for the queer community, for this new administration coming in. A lot of kids support the queer community.
Now, is it true that Elon Musk has a trans child?
I have no idea. I don't really follow Elon Musk. You should ask Josh. Why are you shaking your head?
Why do you think I'm shaking my head? And is it also true that JD Vance has used words such as we have to protect our supply of white babies or words to
Ew.
that?
I hope that's not true.
In fact, are his babies considered white? I don't think so, right?
I don't know what nationality is his wife.
I think she's from India, if I'm not mistaken. They met at Yale. By the way, you know the book that he wrote, Hillbilly Elegy, way before he got nominated to be the VP candidate? That was turned into a movie.
Fabulous. Another movie I don't plan to watch. One of the infinite number of movies I won't be watching this year.
But it does talk about how his mother was a drug addict and how he's treated by his mother and how he was basically raised by his grandmother.
Wasn't that also true of Obama, that he was raised by his grandmother?
That I don't know because I thought for sure that his mother, they had split up, right?
Yeah.
But
I think his
his
father
mother
was,
still raised him, I thought.
maybe his mother raised him, but not his father was absent. Maybe.
Yeah, the father, I think, was not there. Yeah, the hypocrisy, is everywhere you look in that mass of stupidity. It's just impossible to escape. But as long as they hold power, they don't give a shit.
Well, that's Machiavellianism for you. All that matters is power.
And those are the people that will be determining what happens to the tax money that you and I and others pay.
Well,
They'll
they'll
just,
waste it. They've been wasting it my whole life.
well, at least there was a pretense back then that they were doing something for social good. Right now, there's no pretense whatsoever. And you know what else? I'm fucking angry at the Iranians. You know why? Reportedly, there was an attempt to assassinate Trump by the Iranian special forces, and they fucking failed.
Oh, yeah. So that's, I heard that headline. They had some guy who admitted that he had been recruited to come up with a plan, and the Iranians wanted to pay him to come up with a plan to kill Trump.
All right. I already said earlier, I've said too much. I'm still saying too much. Maybe on a topic like this, I'm only good for an hour. Is Maxwell still there?
Oh, I'm in my room.
Oh,
I have to get ready for I have to leave to go to Long Beach. But sorry, I know. I'm here to support you guys. I know, Sam, you were kind of upset about the whole thing.
really? You could tell?
Yeah, what was your first clue?
I know.
Yeah, I cannot believe the depth of stupidity in this country. the depth of corruption.
All you have to do is look at your ring. That's what I do. I look at my ring notifications from time to time, and I'm like, wow, okay.
Ugh.
What's a ring notification?
The security camera. Our neighbors
Well,
are
a ring doorbell?
connected.
Oh, those.
Yeah. So the Red Cross has, having worked with the Red Cross has kind of given me a disaster mindset. So, um, after I walked a couple of miles to pick up my son, and had to decompress from from everything going on, I was able to craft a letter on behalf of United Parents to our supporters to just let them know how devastated we were, and then to put some of the um, resources that they had for the victims of this fire. And so that was not even 24 hours after, so it was the following day. And when I was looking for all of the resources from, like Food Share and um, the Red Cross itself and other places, there wasn't very many posted up. And just today, just today, and I feel really bad for this. I'd already been sharing the resources that I received through social media, and had already organized it in my mind. So when people asked specifically for some of these resources, I was able to give it to them right away. But anyways, just today, my coworkers are finally, oh, somebody's here. I don't know who. Are finally sorry, I have to check. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to check who's here.
The ring doorbell.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can't you just look on your iPhone and see what the camera shows you on your ring doorbell? What they're supposed to do is show you on your iPhone who's at the door.
That was interesting. Nobody was there.
What does the ring doorbell show in the picture?
Nothing. It alerted, but
Okay.
nothing was there. Hopefully it's like an alien. The aliens are finally showing itself. Anyways, what I was trying to say was my coworkers finally received these resources and shared it among our organization, which I had started to do, but I didn't finish it. And I feel bad because I'd known some of these resources a couple of days earlier, but I didn't share it with everybody. So making it a note to share everything with everybody, regardless if they think that it's annoying.
frozen?
Say what?
Are you frozen?
No, we're just not talking. We have nothing constructive to say. We've been ranting and bitching, and we have nothing more to rant and bitch about.
That is the best time in a conversation. We do it very much in peace talks. The best meetings have been always when nothing was valuable enough to be said. So let's try to subsume and resonate and maybe continue another time.
Yeah, peace and quiet.
Always speak when it can improve the silence.
Yeah, well.
Is it time for breakfast?
Bon appetit.
Oh, did you want to talk to Maxwell?
Well, I was not sure how much of my rant Maxwell got.
He wants to know if you understood him.
Yeah.
Did you hear me ranting earlier, Maxwell?
Yeah.
Did I put it in succinct enough language, or was I forceful enough, or was I just holding back a little bit too much?
Um, I don't know.
Maxwell is non-judgmental. That's a good trait.
If you were to talk about it, what words would you use?
Uh, I I don't I would just like talk about the things that people see him as, like how he's like gonna lower prices, but I would also talk about the things that people don't see him doing. So,
Do you think he actually controls prices?
um, no, I don't think so.
What do you see him doing?
I see him doing a lot of bad things for the economy,
Like what?
uh, getting us into war
And
and taking away rights,
like what rights?
LGBTQ rights and women's rights.
What else?
Uh,
What have your friends been saying about him that support him?
that he's gonna lower prices. That's mainly what they talk about. They don't really talk about anything else. They only talk about how he's gonna lower prices instead of raise them.
Do you believe that?
No.
Yeah. Even though you don't understand economy, you believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he puts a gigantic tariff on imports from China to other countries, what does that do to the prices we pay for those products?
Uh, makes it go up.
Absolutely.
What else do you say about him to your friends?
That he really isn't a good guy and that he shouldn't like that he shouldn't be trying to convince people because he already came up with a strategy on what to do once he becomes president.
He
What
has a
strategy?
concept of a plan. There's a concept of an idea of a plan. We don't know what it is. Neither does he.
Well, it's been well pointed out that now you got 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old girls who have been raped, who must carry their babies, and who will die if they don't get health care, but at least the gas prices will be cheap.
What do you think about that?
I think that if someone was raped at a very young age, they shouldn't have to deliver the baby and that they should get an abortion. But Trump is gonna take that away.
Yeah, it's really disgusting to hear that. And unfortunate.
And by the way, those deaths have already occurred. There's already reported cases of young girls dying because they couldn't get the health care they needed.
Yeah, he saw that on TikTok. So what would you first do about it if you could?
If I could, I would I don't know how to word this. I would make abortions legal because no teenage girl or like girl at a very young age should ever experience that.
What else would you do?
Um,
Bitch slapping? I'm just kidding.
yeah,
Sorry.
I need water.
He's embarrassed to actually have an audience.
What did you say?
Hi,
Nothing to be
Josh.
embarrassed about.
Oh, aloha.
No, you're still in Hawaii.
Yep. You guys okay?
No, we're all
You
just
guys, okay.
we're all lamenting our despondency and despair.
I hear this.
All right, Max is out. He's embarrassed.
Okay. Hey, thank Max for participating as he did.
He's smiling. That's his you're welcome smile.
How old is your kid, Kayla?
He's 13.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, he was really sad about the elections. He was worried.
I'm
He
getting
wanted to
sad
leave the
listening to you
country.
guys. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the country now. I thought things were gonna be okay, and then I got on here and I'm like, I don't think things are okay. Or is everyone okay?
No, not okay.
Why are you guys so not okay?
We're despondent
Why do you
Why?
think,
I don't
Josh?
understand.
because our nightmare came true.
What's your nightmare?
That we would lose the country, we'd lose the government.
You didn't lose the country. Most of the people voted for a different person. That's all that happened. You didn't lose the country.
That's not what happened, Josh. What happened is a guy who is actually going to take action against the US Constitution will now have free reign to do so. And that's why the country is going down the shitter. Okay. Most other elections, that's not the case. In this election, that is the case.
We're just not happy about having a fascist run the country. I wasn't happy when Nixon was
He's
running.
going to dismantle the Department of Education. Yeah. He's already put a number of corrupt justices on the Supreme Court. He's going to dismiss the case against him, so all of his crimes are actually going to be shoved under the rug. So we can't even talk about a country of law and order, of justice, if he's allowed to do those acts. That's why the law doesn't matter anymore. Only power matters. Corruption gets you what you want. It's not working hard or working morally or working ethically. Those things don't seem to matter. That's what came through in this election. And that is why this country is but 1% of what it used to be, unfortunately.
Do you guys all feel that way? Because you know my beliefs. I don't feel that way.
I don't see why you don't feel that way.
I know we've had this talk a million times, and I try to tell you, but no one wants to listen. So I don't know what to say. I don't know.
You're not looking at what he's doing. You're not looking at what he's saying. You're not looking at the people that are supporting him and what they're actually
Sam, don't gaslight me. Don't tell
Oh,
me
you
what I'm doing.
obviously are not, okay? So
Then
if
you're
you're
gaslighting.
asking,
You're gaslighting. You're
yeah, I'm
gaslighting.
telling you what
Stop. Just
I'm
stop.
telling you what I infer based on what you say.
Exactly. And you're delusional. And I've been telling you that for months, and you're not listening to me.
I
It's
don't think so. I
delusional.
think you're the one who's not paying attention to what's going on.
I know you think that. I'm 100% sure you think that I don't know what's going on, that I'm stupid. I'm a dumb person. I get that. And that's what lost the election.
Because you
Bunch of
ask
people
every
thinking
time,
people were
and so you're not
stupid.
aware of what he's doing and what his people are saying. You're not aware of Project 2025 and what they're actually trying to do to this country. You're not aware of what he's actually going to do to the United States. He's already said he's going to be a dictator. He's already said we're not going to have any more elections. Okay, so if that doesn't concern you, then you don't really care about the U.S. Constitution, evidently.
Wow. Well, have fun with your gaslighting. I didn't come
Defend
on
it.
here to be
Defend your
gaslit.
position, then. Defend your position.
Defend your position. I don't have to, Sam. I don't have to
No,
defend
this is what you're
myself. I just
saying.
logged
Okay,
on at
based on what
7
you have
o'clock to say
said.
hi to you, and
Based
then you
on what
start
you have
gaslighting
said.
me.
Hey,
No, you want
call
to
it
start
gaslighting if you
gaslighting me?
like. Okay.
Here, defend
But
this
this is what.
position. Defend this position. I came on at 7 o'clock to say hi, and you started yelling at me. It's early in the
No, I
morning. I'm
didn't.
on
No, I
vacation.
didn't. You asked the questions and
Defend
I'm
your
responding.
position. No, you just did this. It's 7 o'clock in
You
the
asked
morning,
the
my
question,
time.
why are you despondent?
Sam, you just want to argue with people and gaslight. Good fucking luck with that. Didn't work.
Well,
Doesn't work.
what you are saying betrays whether or not you've actually been informed about any of these events and happenings. mean, what does it say to Maxwell, who feels very, very concerned about LGBTQ rights and what's going to happen to his friends, for someone to come and say, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just another election. Somebody else won. That's all that happened.
You know, what I've been saying to Maxwell is just he just needs to be really careful. And that's a sad thing because what he's doing is not it does no harm to anybody, you know. What wearing women's jeans because it fits him because he likes it, or putting on nail polish, or letting his hair grow out. It's something that has absolutely no harm. It does no harm for anybody. It does no harm for religion and God and perspectives. And the sad part is I just have to tell him, you just have to be careful, because I don't know well, I do know that in our community, it's very conservative. And there's a lot of really old school parents, and it doesn't matter what nationality they are because, you know, um, there are all kinds of nationalities. They still believe that it isn't right for somebody to be, a certain way. So I shouldn't have to be telling my son to be careful, to be himself, you know. And that's a sad thing. I have lived with that my whole life, and that's what I tell my kids too. Like, it shouldn't be that women have to be careful. We are entitled to be safe. Just like, whatever decisions that he makes, whether he's, he is part of the LGBTQ community, or, whatever sex he is or not. But that's my biggest concern when it comes to the coming administration is we have to be careful because now the safety of our rights is being compromised.
Right.
And we are doing nothing wrong. Abortion is not wrong.
Well, the only solace also is in the long view of things, if we survive, in a certain number of years, I don't know exactly how long, there will be no ethnic majority. Every ethnicity will be a minority. We're going to have more diversity. If society survives, that's practically inevitable. But until then, there are these last gasp measures for white supremacy to still try and hang on to power.
And they're going to hang on to it as, much as they can.
Yes.
And so the question is, what are we going to do about it?
Whatever means. And it doesn't matter if it's legal, it doesn't matter if it's ethical, it doesn't matter if it's moral. You can clearly see none of those guidelines matter so long as they hang on to power.
I like what Dave Chappelle said in one of his skits when it addressed women in the Me Too movement. He said, "They're coming for you. Watch out."
Evidently, it was a double or triple whammy. Kamala Harris was not male. She's not white. And she was educated. evidently from the start, she couldn't attract white supremacist votes just by her very nature. So all these analysts coming forth and saying, "Oh yeah, this is what happened." Geez, it just goes to show how deep misogyny and white supremacy run in this country. They vote for a rapist over a woman, over a black woman, a convicted felon, a traitor to this country. Someone with no character, someone who lies, predictably, multiple times a day, multiple times per utterance.
Were any of you worried what would happen when if she did win? And I'm not talking about long term, I'm talking immediately.
You mean about the riots that would happen if she had
Exactly.
Oh yeah, we knew that was going to happen. We knew there were going to be claims of election fraud. We knew there were going to be claims, that the thing was going to be rigged, and we knew that there would be violence that would ensue. Yes, he would call for another January 6th. Absolutely, we knew that.
Yeah, but a lot more calculated, because it would be a second time around. I'm not saying that, it's a good thing that she didn't win. I'm just saying that the possibility of a government fragmentation would have been a lot faster if she did win.
I don't know if you're online when I said if I take a look at the early voting, mail-in voting trends, and the fact that women were outvoting men 55 to 45, and you try and make sense out of that and other metrics with the eventual numbers, which were a lower voter turnout, to me, there's something fishy going on here. That doesn't correlate to me.
Unfortunately, a lot of women don't believe, in progress too. We call those the pick-me women.
Who?
The pick-me girls, the ones that align themselves with men so that they could be chosen, so that they could have the favor of men. We call those the pick-me girls, the pick-me women.
I didn't know that.
Pick me, pick me.
I didn't know that. No.
Oh yeah. The term came about these past couple of years. Um, yeah, those are what we call the pick me women. And what we usually tell pick me women is you're never, ever, 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 ever going to have the favor of men, regardless if you side with them or not. So yeah, there are a lot of pick me women.
Well, men and women have to level up here.
Hey Sam, I mean this in like the nicest way, but I knew you would be really upset, and I knew this whole Zoom would be about would be you ranting about the whole elections. But perhaps like the next meetings that we have moving forward, we can talk either about a solution or talk about something that's a little bit more inclusive.
I would agree. But I think, one session for catharsis on this to me was necessary.
Absolutely.
But thank you for that. I agree with you.
Ooh, I think I'm gonna have happy hour with a councilwoman today.
Okay, for the third time, I have said too much, especially with regard to the interaction with Josh and your current advice. So I will shut myself up for the rest of the session.
Right. I don't think you should shut up for the rest of the session, but
Or at least count to 20 before I say anything.
there you go. Well, we're going to be in Seattle in a couple of weeks. So
Yeah,
we might
more
hit,
ditches to drive into.
huh?
Let's find more ditches to drive into.
Yeah. Um, Damien will not be with us because he's going to be spending a lot of time in Long Beach. He's a junior in high school now, and he's been very, very busy. So, but Maxwell will be there.
Yeah, how long are you going to be here? And is there an
Um,
event that you're coming for?
no, it was just, traveling with my sister and my mom. We never do that. Plus, I'm going to be turning 50 December 2nd. So it was kind of like my 50th birthday getaway because I was too broke to go to Tahiti. That's where I wanted to go.
Good. Let's see if we can make something happen.
Well, yeah, I need to look at my property and my house,
Right.
you know?
Title. Bring a big check. Thank you for your title.
Yeah, yeah.
You doing okay, Barry?
No,
Yeah.
Sorry, Barry.
it's not your fault.
Sorry, Barry.
Shh. Sorry.
Well, I don't want to exacerbate anyone, so I'm going to say goodbye because I'm not trying to get anyone upset. Feeling better. Cheers.
Bye, Josh.
Bye, Kayla. Have a great vacation when you go.
Enjoy Hawaii.
Yeah,
I'm going to
you
try.
have a good vacation.
I got an aquarium to go to and more sand to wipe off of Aya. So,
Nice.
yeah. Cheers.
Well, I'm gonna log off too. I have to get ready. I've got 15 minutes. Good to see everybody. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning. Cheers.
Have a good time.
Took the opportunity to get some coffee. Are we done?
Probably.
Let's say we're done.
We're done.
All right.
See you tomorrow.